What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper video, and with March of the Machines settling into the format over the last couple of weeks, it's time we look at the most impactful cards and the decks to look out for so that you, if you haven't updated your favorite deck yet, know what cards to think about or include when it's time to do so. Let's jump right in. Alright guys, before we start off with the list of the most impactful cards for Pauper out of March of the Machines, a quick honorable mention to Unseal the Necropolis. This is one of my picks for the best card in black. This card I expect to perform in the blue-black Angler list, or the blue-black Tolarian Terror list. We haven't seen a finish from a Pauper challenge yet, but I do expect that to change in the future, so keep your eye on this card. I really do think that this is going to be impactful in that deck and add something that deck has been missing. Starting off the list with Final Flourish. Final Flourish is a 2-mana instant with kicker, sacrifice, an artifact or creature. So for a black and a colorless, you get target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If the spell was kicked, that creature gets -6/-6 instead. This is showing up in the affinity list as a 1 or 2 of as they test it. This might go up, but I expect it to stay at a 1 or 2 of just because the deck doesn't have that many flex slots available for removal. At the end of the day, this is yet another artifact sacrifice outlet, which the deck always likes. Drawing cards off of an Ichor Wellspring is always welcome, same with Chromatic Star. And this answers Gurmag Angler and Tolarian Terror pretty cleanly, as the deck previously struggled to deal with 5/5s or opposing 5/6s from Gearseeker Serpent. So this is a very clean answer to all of those. This also answers the Kenku Artificer 3/3 indestructible land coming out of the mirror, which has been another big hinge point in the mirror match. So keep your eye on this card. It's very good in affinity, and I expect it to settle into the meta. Next up is Ren's Resolve, a new functional reprint of Reckless Impulse. For a red and a colorless at sorcery speed, you get exile top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. This is exactly the same as Reckless Impulse, i.e. functional reprint. However, unlike most functional reprints, the deck that plays Reckless Impulse actually wants to run more Reckless Impulses than was previously allowed, so a functional reprint opens a lot of doors for that deck. There are several variations of red decks playing this, such as the 8 Pulse deck, which relies on pingers like Firebrand Archer or Kessig Flame Breather to ping you off and take the game a little bit slower while going really deep on cards and resources to ping you out and accrue value over a longer game. And then there's the standard Kuldotha red list. This is also running a couple of copies of Ren's Resolve, depending on how many Bushwhackers and or Lava Darts they want access to in the main board. You can see anywhere from 2 to 4 of Ren's Resolve and 2 to 4 of Reckless Impulse in those decks as well. Those decks stick to the pretty traditional strategy of make artifacts, then make goblins, and attack you with a very big board while burning for reach. As usual, these decks are very, very powerful, so be aware that if you haven't updated your red deck yet, you should definitely consider this card and try out a few inclusions. Next up is Meeting of Minds. This is a 4-mana instant for 3 and a blue. You have Convoke, which allows your creatures to help cast the spell. By tapping a creature, you reduce the spell's cost by 1 colorless or 1 mana of that creature's color, and then you can draw 2 cards. A lot of people originally expected this card to make the cut in Fairies or some of the other tempo style blue decks such as Delver, but those decks, turns out, if you're not attacking, you're probably not going to close out the game in time, so holding creatures back in those decks isn't often a winning strategy. However, there is one blue deck that likes to sit back and be passive, and that is Familiars. Familiars is a white-blue combo deck that ends the game on infinite life, but it needs to draw a lot of cards to make that happen. Its key card, Sunscape Familiar, needs to be a 2 of on the board just to make the combo possible. There are several variations of this deck, some using a card called Prosperous Pirates, which is a 5-drop that enters and makes 2 treasure tokens. So by blinking this, you're able to go off, but not just go off for infinite life, and generate infinite mana as well. Now, what can you do with that infinite mana to accompany your infinite life? Well, with our next card, Saiba Cryptomancer, you can generate infinite 1/1 counters as well, and that turns out to be a much better win condition than the previously utilized Sage's Road Denizen to mill out the opponent. Because infinite mana allows you access to infinite counter spells as well, Cyber Cryptologist will close out the game very, very quickly once you've locked it down. Infinite Life is also a great alternate win condition against things like Burn, who often just scoop once you establish the combo or life gain out of range high enough. This adds a new win condition to the deck on MTGO as well, not in Paper Pauper, strictly because Infinite Life and Paper Pauper generally tended to be a good enough win condition unless the opponent's deck was also a combo deck. However, in MTGO, the deck was significantly more difficult to win with because Infinite Life was not a viable win condition when the opponent can just opt to run out your clock. Now adding infinite mana and potentially infinite 1/1s, the deck gets significantly easier to close out with once you've generated the combo. And speaking of Saiba Cryptomancer, it doesn't just go in familiars, it's being found in familiars as a one-of usually. Like I said, in that spot that used to be for Sage's Road Denizen, which was their original mill-out win condition on MTGO. Now you can see Saiba Cryptomancer as a 1 or 2 of in mono blue fairies as well. This card, I've been testing it personally. It has been very, very good in mono blue fairies. It turns out being able to, at instant speed, save your ninja, as well as prevent a gut shot and pump something in the air, and then rebuy the Cryptomancer itself with a ninja is very, very powerful. I've also found a couple of lines where you play the Cryptomancer, snap it back to your own hand to unlap lands and replay the Cryptomancer to beat Suffocating Fumes. There are a lot of lines available to this card, and when you combine it with Brine Barrow as well as Mutagenic Growth, combat math becomes near impossible to predict for your opponent, so it's a very, very powerful card there. So if you haven't tried Saiba Cryptomancer and Meeting of Minds in your Familiars deck, I would highly suggest that you take a look at them for your next update. And if you're a mono blue Fae player, really take a close look at Saiba Cryptomancer and see if you can find 1 or 2 slots for this card. I think you'll be really impressed if you haven't tried it already. But that rounds up our most impactful cards from March of the Machines. How do you think the meta is settling in? Are you excited about these new cards entering the format? What do you think of one of the new best decks available, which is Familiars? And let me know what you're most excited to play down in the comments below. If I missed anything that you think will have a huge impact on Pauper, please, by all means, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, comment down below. Let's start a conversation so we can find out what best to expect as we're brewing and build this community around Pauper playing. Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. I really do appreciate you. And to celebrate breaking 500 subs, we are going to do yet another giveaway. So below in the comment section, guys, just make sure you comment something, anything for the algorithm to be entered in the giveaway. And make sure that you are subbed to the YouTube channel. And we will get you a set of our foil custom channel tokens, just as a thank you for being so supportive and helping the channel grow. As usual, guys, goodbye forever. Unless I see you next time. Peace out.